Tonight I have the high privilege and distinct honor of my own as the first president to begin the State of the Union message with these words. Madam Speaker.
That was President George W. Bush in his 2007 State of the Union address, referring to my next guest, Nancy Pelosi. Today, of course, she answers once again to those same words, Madam Speaker. And if Pelosi thought the situation was tense between Democrats and Republicans in 2007, and it was, she's since learned just how much worse it can get. Today, she leads the House Democrats as they work to counter what she has called an assault on democracy by Donald Trump. I had the honor of speaking to the Speaker at the Council on Foreign Relations on Thursday. The Secretary of State says that the attacks on the two tankers around the Straits of Hormuz were Iranian, done by the Iranian government. Do you think that we are in for a possible military confrontation between the United States and Iran?
Well, I certainly hope not, but we have absolutely no appetite for going to war or to be provocative, to create situations that might evoke responses where mistakes could be made. You know, it's one, countries exercise their leverage, they threaten, they this or that, but there could be mistakes made, and that's a very dangerous thing. And if I just may just go back a little bit, what is his motivation? What is their motivation to be provocative with the Iranians? Why did the president turn his back on the Iranian nuclear agreement? What's the logic except some other issue? That it was negotiated by President Obama? We had so many national security experts, whether they were ambassadors, generals, admirals, and all the rest, supporting the agreement as well. So it had official, diplomatic, national security, technical, nuclear, etc., support along the way. So why? So then he comes in and undoes that, and inflames the U.S.-Iran issue. Why? What is the purpose? And then I'm not going to accuse anybody of instigating anything, but for not having a policy that would smooth the waters, so to speak. So again, I think he probably knows there's no appetite for war among the American people.
Let me ask you, though, about presidential power. Is there a kind of usurpation of congressional authority? Since 1976, when Congress declared a National Emergency Act, Gerald Ford signed it, there have been the presidents have declared 59 emergencies. 32 are still in place. We still have national emergencies in place about Macedonia, about Lebanon, about the Iran hostage crisis. Is it time for Congress to start much more seriously overseeing these kind of executive usurpations of power?
Yeah, I think Congress were accomplices in some of these things, but we're dealing with presidents with whom we had shared values, and to give the president the facility to do what he needed, or hopefully one day she needed to do. But it has gone too far. And if it's a national emergency, it's one thing, but if it's to declare a national emergency that doesn't exist is an exploitation of an opportunity that shouldn't be taking place.
He's doing it with Saudi arms sales. There is an end run around Congress. Is there something you intend to do to prevent that or to counter it?
We have Congress will vote against the arms sales to Saudi Arabia and the other countries too. It's unfortunate that the Emirates and Jordan, countries that had nothing to do with Yemen, to do with Khashoggi or to do with other things, are caught in that, but it is what we have to address. So there will be a vote to remove any authority to make those sales to Saudi Arabia. But there's something more about Saudi Arabia, and that is this is nuclear technology that he is transferring to Saudi Arabia. So it runs into other acts of Congress that he must, that cannot be ignored. So this is going to be quite a discussion. And you have to wonder, what's with Saudi Arabia? Why, of all the countries in the world, the President of the United States chooses as his first country to visit Saudi Arabia? President Bush and President Clinton, all the presidents since Reagan went to either Canada or Mexico. There are plenty other allies that this president could have visited. What was the purpose of giving so much face to Saudi Arabia? Follow the money, what's going on here? And there is a question of who is financially benefiting from the nuclear part of the sales to Saudi Arabia. So this is something that we will fight, and we'll have bipartisan support. Because it's about Yemen. We already had that vote. He vetoed it, but it was a strong bipartisan vote in the Congress. And so the case against Saudi Arabia in terms of Yemen, in terms of Khashoggi, in terms of so much that they should not be receiving these weapon sales is very strongly bipartisan in the Congress.
Will President Trump be able to build his wall using Defense Department monies?
No. The bill under the 7 a.m. prohibits that from happening, but we're also in the courts, and we won in one of the courts that said you can't use defense money for that purpose. But again, you go one court, you never know about the courts. It depends on the venue and the judge and the rest. So we'll continue to make that case. And the decision was the Congress of the United States has the authority to appropriate funds. And that's the law. That's the Constitution. It's right there in the Second Amendment, but it's also in the court decision. So always think of it, the C's, the Constitution, the Congress, the courts. And that's the path that we're taking with that.
Next on GPS, to impeach or not to impeach? That is the very delicate and important question that Nancy Pelosi is confronted with every day. Her latest thinking when we come back.
That the country is ready for impeachment hearings?
Here's my thing. Our founders, we were so blessed with our founders. And not many of us are history buffs. Many of us are here. And we do believe that foreign policy should be nonpartisan, should stop, that debate should stop at water's edge. It doesn't always. But basically, coming back to one guidance that our founders gave us, of all the great documents, and thank God they made the Constitution amendable, but for all the greatness of the documents they gave us a guidance, e pluribus unum, from many one. They couldn't imagine how many we would become or how different we would be from each other, but they knew that we had to be one. And in all that we do, in my role as Speaker of the House, and I believe most of my colleagues subscribe to it, is try to find as much common ground as you can. Strive for oneness rather than division. I don't think there's anything more divisive we can do than to impeach a president of the United States. And so you have to handle it with great care. It has to be about the truth and the facts to take you to whatever decision has to be there. It should by no means be done politically. You shouldn't impeach politically, or you shouldn't not impeach politically. But we must always remember we have a responsibility for oneness, because that is the strength of our country. I always say our diversity is our strength. In our caucus, we're very diverse. Our diversity is our strength, but our unity is our power. That's what gives us leverage in the rest of the world, that we are the United States of America.
There are several Democrats who are running for president who are calling for impeachment. Elizabeth Warren. If one of them gets nominated, the two leaders of the Democratic Party will be somewhat at odds on this issue.
Well, you never know where we'll be by the time one of them gets nominated, but it is, again, we are on legislate, that's our responsibility. We promise lower health care costs, bigger paychecks, building the infrastructure of America, cleaner government, introducing legislation to make our government cleaner, taking out voter suppression, all of that. So that's what we promise. That's what we're doing. We've passed legislation to that effect, and we continue to do so. Legislate, investigate. We have caused, there was an assault on our country, an assault on our democratic institution of elections. We have a responsibility to get to the bottom of that. And because of the resistance that we're getting from the White House, we must litigate. So as we investigate and litigate, we'll go where the facts take us. With all due respect to whoever may be President of the United States, it really doesn't matter. What matters are the facts. It's not about partisanship. It's not Democrats and Republicans. It's not about partisanship. It's about patriotism, about what we must do. And how can I say that? I love the press. They're the guardians of our democracy. Freedom of the press is so important. However, they just have an obsession with talking about impeachment, and every time one of my members says that for impeachment, oh, pressure's on. Pressure's not on. I respect everybody's opinion about where they think we are on this, but I also respect the work of our chairman in terms of legislate, investigate, litigate, and we have that responsibility to find out what happened. What's sad for us is that this is a admitted assault on our democracy. Every agency, intelligence agency, has high confidence that this happened. There's proof and the rest. The Mueller report subscribes to that. And the President of the United States says it's a hoax. It's a hoax. The President of the United States should be the one taking the lead to look into what happened there, and instead he's saying they could do it again. There's something very wrong with this picture. And so in any event, the facts, the truth, what's right for our country in the most unifying way, not dividing them.
Next on GPS, Speaker Pelosi is in the trenches battling against Donald Trump every day. So what better person to offer advice to the 2020 candidates, one of whom will take on the president? Her message to Democrats when we come back.
Trump very well. What would you tell them? What is the advice you would give them about how to run against Donald Trump?
Forget about him. Just talk about what you have to offer. Everybody knows the situation that exists in the White House. So my whole thing, when I tell everybody, my candidates for Congress and the rest, I think one of the reasons we won in 2018 is that don't even mention his name. This is about what you have to offer. People are concerned about health care in America. They're concerned about the stagnation of their wages. They're concerned and skeptical about even government working for them rather than for the special interest. So just talk about what you have to offer. So I would say to them, and as I say to these presidentials, show them your why. Where's your vision? Why are you running? Show them your knowledge. What do you know about it? Is it climate change? Is it economic security? What is your why? You know, what motivates you to run and think that you will be the best president? Your why, your what do you know? And what judgment can you demonstrate by the knowledge that you have? How are you going to get it done? Vision, knowledge, strategic thinking. Show them all of that, because that's what a leader has to demonstrate. But none of it counts for anything unless you connect with them heart to heart about your authenticity, about the United States of America and your connection to their hopes and dreams, aspirations, and apprehensions, the fears that they have. Authenticity is everything in terms of how they make a judgment about they figure we're all about the greatness of America. They don't know, they want to see it as a demonstration of knowledge and therefore judgment. You want plans? Everybody's got plans. Go to my website. But the connection is the most important thing. So I would just tell them why you're running, what you care about, how you intend to make it happen to improve their lives. If you ask them about him, you could talk about a level of integrity that you would bring to the White House. But I really wouldn't go there so much. of how to deal with him, because you see what he does is he projects. Like when he says Nancy's a mess, that means he's a mess. When he says Nancy's nervous, that means he's nervous. He's always projecting, disowning his own. Somebody doesn't have stamina. It's always about him. He's always talking about himself, no matter who the subject of the sentence is. It's always about him. I mean, I have people, really, there has to be an intervention here, but that's it. I don't recommend that any candidate for president make that intervention. Well, the thing is that I respect the office of President of the United States. Sometimes I think I respect it more than the person holding the office right now. I respect the office of President. I respect the people who voted for Donald Trump for president. They had their fears, their apprehensions, their hopes. He gave them reason to think. But I also know that he did, what is the one bill he's passed in Congress? Tax breaks. He gave 83% of the bill of the tax benefits to the top 1%, because that's not about the people who voted for him. So you do have to get to a place to talk about policy and make a contrast.
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi, for that great conversation.